What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. The Yankees finally took care of the Astros. It just had to happen when the games didn't really matter, Scott. First time they have swept them since 2013, which was, I think, the first year the Astros came over to the American League. So they were garbage. They were tanking for all those draft picks, which we know what they turned into. But that was, if you remember that series in 2013, end of the year.
If I remember the series from 2013.
I do remember that series kind of vividly. So Andy Pettitte, I think, pitched on the final day of the season. He pitched a complete game. Mm-hmm. And that was the series also that Mariano Rivera, who did not appear in, but there was talk that he was going to play center field. If you remember that. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
Because he had the final moment at Yankee Stadium. Where Jeter and Pettitte come out and he starts crying. So he didn't pitch in the final series of the year, 2013. Yankees weren't going to the postseason. So it's kind of funny that the years that they sweep the Astros, the Yankees ain't going anywhere. But that was like, is Mariano going to play center field? That whole deal. And he didn't play center field. Andy Pettitte pitched a complete game, and they swept the Astros in 2013. 10 years later, sweeping the Astros.
With a completely different team on the field as well from what had been there all year long. So, yeah, the baby bomber or the Utes, however we're talking to them, talking about them, they're here. They're definitely here, and they're completely taking over the lineup. And man, Dominguez, he's fun. He's fun to watch. Like, the swing is beautiful. He's got a nice long extended swing. The follow through is nice. You were talking about the helicopter from the right side at one point, but the left sided swing with the follow through is just it's elongated. It's got that full. You know what it would fit nicely in? It would fit nicely in if A-Rod were left handed and his logo, his fly fishing logo. Or Dominguez's swing.
Oh, that's a good call out, though. A-Rod sometimes had the helicopter from the right-handed side.
He did. And you saw that full motion. That's why his logo looks like a fly fisherman, going out and just catching some lake, some trout or some bass, whatever you catch on a river. And but yeah, Dominguez, his swing looks violent too. Like some of the balls that he hit weren't hard hit, when you're looking at, leaderboard of hard hit balls, but the swing itself, it looks violent, and it's a good one to watch. It's a good one to watch. And the kid came up big.
Well, that at bat against Verlander, his first ever at bat, he hit the home run to the short, what do they call it at Minute Maid or whatever the place is called now? The Crawford box, right?
The cheater's eye.
The short porch in left field. Yeah. Like that's probably not a home run in a lot of places, but that's still an insanely impressive at bat. Justin Verlander, you're making your debut, and he took a pitch on the outside half and he went with it and he hit a line drive to left field. Like, that's a fantastic at bat for your first ever big league at bat against a future Hall of Famer. That is legit.
I mean, there's no doubt the one thing that they've been talking about since he's come up, and this was. People are asking, I was listening to the ESPN broadcast last night because you get a different perspective sometimes. And they're talking about, what do you see from a kid like this that is different, that gives you more of the, the belief that he could be something, and adjustments. That was one of the big things to talk about, adjustments. And that's what we talked about last episode. And really, when I'm talking about Dominguez and looking at his history in the minor leagues and how he's gone through, it is about the adjustments. The kid has the ability to make those adjustments. And if you're going oppo in your first at bat off Justin Verlander, understanding that there's a opportunity in left field, for a ball, if you get it up in the air, that it has the chance to go out. The kid made the adjustment and from the left side is going oppo against Verlander. It's impressive. And in big moments, early on, like, I know it's one series, but we can all get excited. Doesn't phase him. Like, he doesn't feel like he's, anything was too big for him this weekend, at least. So that's cool to see.
It's hilarious. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, Dominguez comes up, top rated prospect, home run in his first at bat. Judge, when he came up, home run in his first at bat, so much hype around him. I think Judge even hit a home run in his first series, like another one in his first series that weekend, or very soon after that. So it's, Dominguez kind of mirroring what Judge did in his first season, not his rookie season. This won't be Dominguez's rookie season either, because he's not going to have enough time. it is jarring when you see him standing next to Judge and Stanton and like
Yeah.
shaking hands with those guys. Cause like when he's at the plate, he doesn't look that small. Like he doesn't look like Judge when he's standing at the plate, but he doesn't look like, oh, that's a short guy up there. But then he starts high-fiving the other guys and you're like, oh wow, there's a big difference between these two people.
The first time I noticed it was after the home run, and Stanton's there to meet him at the plate. I'm like, oh my god,
him on the head.
yeah. It's like the Altuve Judge meme when he's on second base. Like, yeah, he's 5'9".
But let's not. Like, Dominguez is not Altuve's. He's
5'9".
Like 5'6", right?
Altuve's 5'9". Dominguez is 5'9". No, Dominguez is 5'9", and that's who knows if that's generous. But
Altuve's listed at 5'6".
He's a meatball.
Dominguez is listed at 5'9".
All power in the legs. So
if you're listed at 5'9", you might be 5'9" with some thick sole shoes on.
That's what I'm saying. He's got how long have I been asking for Jose Ramirez? That's kind of the body type. He's got a Jose Ramirez body type. He's got that compact, low center of gravity. I like it. I like that for a baseball player. You can do a lot of things with that. And he can move it too, man. He can move it.
He only went 3 for 13, but two of the hits were home runs, obviously. He was hitting, didn't he hit fifth on the first night and then third the next two nights? So they're sticking him. Let's go. They're sticking him right in there. He's obviously a switch hitter, which is long-term for this lineup, extremely nice to be able to stick, hopefully, that bat in the middle of the lineup. Like if you're starting to eye next year, okay, Judge 2, maybe.
Or maybe Dominguez we could put Judge in the 3 spot where he belongs and put a kid like Dominguez in the 2. Yeah.
And you got Rizzo back, hopefully healthy next year to also mix up. And then you can start to think of a core of a lineup with Judge, Dominguez, Rizzo, Stanton in some order with DJ and Glaber there as well. So you're talking a top 6 right there with good balance between left and right. Like, okay, now we can get excited about next year if all things go well going into next year.
Yeah, and also the Yankees looking at this as an opportunity and not taking a page from history, 2017, and identifying the fact that they need to add, not just look at and be in awe about the young talent, but add and supplement and make sure that they're maximizing the talent around them and giving the young talent more opportunities by putting veteran leaders, more veteran presence that are, established baseball players, that are established guys in the lineup around them. And that's what we'll find out. I wouldn't be surprised either if Dominguez long-term, if they saw him even at the leadoff spot. I could see that with the plate discipline that he has, that's one of his big attributes.
What was his walk rate in the minors? I'm going to get that real quick.
That's Mookie Betts you see with a lot of success in that spot. Wouldn't surprise me if in the analytics age that they try to get him more at bats and put him in the leadoff spot, especially as a switch hitter.
So he's got 182 walks in 1,300 plate appearances. Let me do some quick math here.
From everything I remember hearing about him too, the walk rate wasn't as
14% walk rate.
It's not great, but he doesn't strike out a ton, and he's aggressive. So he's a more aggressive guy with the bat and can, just have the plate discipline so that he's actually swinging at strikes. I could see that as something that they like in the leadoff spot.
You don't necessarily need to just be a guy that walks a ton to be a leadoff hitter, but the plate discipline is obviously key. Which is why, like, when they flirted with Glaber in the leadoff spot earlier in his career, it's just like, this is not the type of hitter that Glaber Torres is. He's not going to be a leadoff type hitter, and that's okay. So maybe Dominguez can be. I just hope, and I think he will, play virtually every day throughout the month of September. Get him however many at-bats, 4 or 5 at-bats a night. Work out all of the rust. He'll go through an 0 for 10 stretch where he looks terrible. He's going to go through some stretches where he looks great, and obviously hit the home run, which he'll remember forever. That's an all-time moment for him. but just play every day. None of this crap of, let's get some other guys. No, he's up here for one reason only, and it's to play every day for the rest of the season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure they'll give him a rest here and there just because these guys are playing, or they're
you got to get those 20-year-old legs. Got to get those 20-year-old legs some rest.
Well, this is what you'll hear. They haven't. The minor league season doesn't go as long as the major league season, so there are times where you need to get them some rest. Yeah, you got to make sure that you're building in those days. What happened to the whole making sure that we're resting guys, making sure that we're building that stuff in, building in all the rest. What do we call it? We call it what do we call it?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
What do we call it when we rest people? When we rest people
load management
in the season.
Is that load management?
Load management.
Are you mocking me, or are you not?
I'm trying to mock you, but you're not playing along with me mocking you. Yeah, you're a big load management guy. Why are we not being so attached to and on top of load management for our young players? We got to have them sustained over the course of their career.
Do not categorize me as a load management guy. What I said was the way they handled Judge last year actually worked. So I gave them some credit. I don't give the Yankees credit often. Okay. And then the one time that I do, you don't even let me do it.
Because when there's a coincidence, that happens.
It was a coincidence.
It just so happens that he stayed healthy for the season. Yeah. The fact
So do you think that just like the postseason in the Yankees front office mind, it's a crapshoot. Staying healthy is just a crapshoot. We're not doing anything wrong. Guy gets healthy, guy doesn't get healthy, whatever.
It's just it's more about pointing to a particular thing when the thing that you want happens, and you're like, that's why it happened. That's exactly why it happened. Rather than, he was just taking good care of himself, and he was he came into the season healthy and feeling good. All that stuff. It's just a matter of what we're actually attributing to the success of particular players in particular areas of the game. That's all.
Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you, Scott, the fall can be a busy time. All of that apple picking and fantasy football deliberation. Although this October, you might have some extra time on your hands without some postseason baseball to watch every single night. Either way, you do not want to go through this fall without trying out America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, Factor. Factor offers delicious, flavor-packed options that meet many dietary needs. Calorie-conscious, keto-friendly, veggie, and vegan meals. There is literally something for everyone. The process is super easy. You go on their website and you pick your meal from a weekly selection of over 34 delicious options. Factor prepares and cooks them to perfection with their gourmet chefs. Then the food is delivered directly to you. All you have to do is simply heat it up. It takes 2 minutes and you are ready to eat amazing food. The ingredients and the meals are always fresh and never frozen. You can also level up with Gourmet Plus options, which allow you to add premium ingredients to your meals. Truffle butter is something they list. And, for some foodies out there, truffle butter, that's going to be a menu buzzword for you. This is seriously the easiest and best option I have ever found for eating good, healthy food that is quick and easy. Head to factormeals.com/Bronx50 and use code Bronx50 to get 50% off. That's 50%, half off your first order is an amazing deal. factormeals.com/Bronx50. Thank you, Factor.
Austin Love Wells, me some truffle butter.
Yeah.
Put truffle butter on anything. It makes it better.
Okay.
Unless you're my wife who doesn't like mushrooms, which makes no sense to me.
That's going to be a problem then.
Yeah.
Austin Wells, Mr. Mustache, because we have to be fair about mustachios.
Mustache.
Sure. We criticized Radon for doing the mustache when he had done jack shit for this organization.
Yeah.
Here comes Austin Wells. Not the guy that the spotlight is going to be on for the call-ups, because that is Jasson Dominguez. Austin Wells also was called up, so he's kind of flying under the radar. But boom, he shows up with just a thick boy on the top of his lip, a rug, a carpet on his upper lip.
Mm-hmm. Look, I like it. He first of all, he's been in the organization. Okay,
it is amazing the difference, and we are just completely transparent with it. You get drafted by the Yankees, you come up through the system. I don't care what you do. I like it. You sign a big free agent contract. Fuck you. Put up or shut up.
Well, let me Okay, first of all, Austin Wells, before he even stepped foot in and put on the Yankee uniform, did more than Carlos Rodon by fixing Anthony Volpe's swing, okay?
Good point.
Over Chicken Parm.
Good
so,
point.
yeah, the mustache is completely valid at that point. And the kid's been growing it for a little bit. He's earned his way up the ranks. It's not like he was just given something, you know? This is completely earned. Of course. He looks great. Looks great. I hope he keeps it forever. I hope that mustache, you know, it takes a life of its own, but it is thick. It is, and it is there, and it is prominent. There.
Hard to miss.
Left-handed swing. If you listen to the ESPN folks talking about how the Yankees are going to be, relooking at everything, auditing the entire organization. No shit. But one of the things that they're going to be doing is left-handed bats. Left-handed bats. Much more emphasis on left-handed bats. That's a new thing. Yeah, new thing in the Bronx. The right side of the outfield is open for exploitation. So left-handed bats, pretty important. And Wells, who I keep in my head, I've almost called him Brian McCann like 30 times. I don't know why. He
does have a McCann face.
My brain goes to Brian McCann every time. But and Brian McCann was always like that guy. They're like, is he really the catcher or is he more of a DH? Because he was more known for his offensive prowess, and that's what he was
pretty good in Atlanta though.
He was pretty good, but he was definitely more known for his offensive side of the game. That said, he does give me those McCann vibes, which I think are pretty good vibes. You know, Brian McCann, pretty good baseball player.
So I was reading a scouting report. I forget how I saw this on Austin Wells. So reading from MLB Pipeline, Wells is a complete package at the plate, hitting for average and power while also drawing a healthy amount of walks. A left-handed hitter, he recognizes pitches and controls the strike zone consistently, producing hard contact to all fields. He creates plus raw power with his combination of strength and bat speed, and he taps into it by regularly driving the ball in the air. Wells is quicker than most catchers and stole 16 bases without getting caught in each of his first 2 pro seasons. While he'll never win a Gold Glove, he has worked diligently to improve his receiving and throwing. He has made himself into at least a fringy receiver, but base stealers have run wild on him in 2023. And then this scouting report also says the Yankees like offensive-minded catchers. Is that true?
Well, Jorge Posada.
Okay.
Brian McCann.
But like recently they have pivoted to pure defensive
Gary Sanchez.
Catchers.
I know, but when they're being intentional about a particular thing, it's like the defensive
catchers. I agree with that. Yes, they feel if they can get above average offense from the catching position, then they have a leg up on the rest of the league, because usually catchers are not good offense. And that is true, right? Like when you think of some of the best catchers of the past 20 years, from Mike Piazza all the way to Buster Posey, all the way to, whatever, JT Realmuto now, when you have an offensive force at catcher, that is a big difference maker, but not to the detriment of
the pitching staff.
Right.
That's the big thing. When you're looking at, you can't be a below average defensive catcher though, and that be okay. We played that game. We saw what happened there. We tried that. That didn't work. Yeah, that did not work. So yeah, the receiving portion of the job is extremely important. And to that point, there were compliments of Wells and his receiving and the way that he called the game. So he comes across as a guy. We need to see him more. Obviously, we need to see him. Sure. I'm excited to see the rest of the season and watch him more closely, and to see how he calls a game, to see how, and even calling a game today compared to 3 years ago is completely different, because a lot of times the pitchers are really more, they're just in more control of what they're going to be throwing today more than anything. With PitchCom, they're calling their own. A lot of times they're calling their own game, especially with a guy like Wells, who's just coming up and doesn't have the familiarity of these guys. You're going to see that more often. Now, I'm interested to see how his defensive game is on the major league level. How he, everybody's talking about him being exploited with his arm, being exploited with the base runners. that will be interesting to see. I mean, I don't think there are very many catchers that don't get exploited in today's game because of all of the rule changes that are in the runner's favor at this point. But if he can call, and framing, honestly, like, is framing going to be a thing in 3 years? Probably not. 4 years, 5 years, probably not. I would argue that it isn't. So if you're going, again, like organizational depth and like the way that you're training catchers, and framing's a big piece of it, maybe you should rethink that in the way that baseball is trending and towards robo umps, because it's not going to be a thing when that happens. Framing is going to be completely obsolete at that point. So let's just make sure that we're being diligent of that, and not, just getting kids and training them to frame and losing the rest of the mechanics of catching, because I want you to be able to call a good game. I want you to be able to keep the ball in front of you. I want you to be able to, throw with accuracy. I want those things. So I'm excited to watch him and just kind of scout with my own eyes.
Yeah, but framing is going to be something for the next couple of seasons, because
Sure.
if we use the pitch clock as a precedent, that was first introduced into the minor leagues in like low levels of the minors in like 2017, right? And then it took 6 years to work its way up through the systems, through the minor league systems, and into the major leagues. I think 6 seasons before it was.
It just feels like the Yankees sometimes are a little bit behind on the way that the game is trending. So this is just like, a public statement right here from the common sense department. Let's just keep an eye on that and make sure we don't go all eggs in one basket, please.
Sure. Okay, fine. But if Austin Wells is going to be contributing to the Yankees catching in 2024, he should be. Framing is going to still be important in 2024.
Yes, you're right. It absolutely is. And, assuming, who knows what happens with the way that the Yankees are treating these call-ups, right? Are they looking at this as showcases for trades? Are they looking at this as showcase for next year? You could see two different ways of thinking. Some of them a little mixed bag of both for these guys to parlay them into some other players. We'll see. We'll see who's in charge of that. Probably going to be Brian Cashman, but we'll see, what he's doing with that.
You forgot the ticket sales in September.
Oh yeah. Well, that's true. It's important for ticket sales. Jasson Dominguez alone is important for ticket sales.
Yeah. Who was going to go pay at the stadium to watch the team from a week ago play in September? Nobody, other than Old Timers Day weekend, where the core four is coming back and Jeter was going to be there. Yet no one was going to go, especially once football rolls around. F that. Now there's a reason to go back
catch the memo
and watch this team right now. There's some excitement.
Everybody still goes to the games. It still happens. I mean, Hal knows that. That's the thing. I have a question.
All right, so, it's on the fans. It's on the fans
with Dominguez
to not go.
With Dominguez being up, maybe now and with all the fanfare and excitement around him, once the Yankees get a little closer to being eliminated here, can they sit Aaron Judge? Can they finally rest him? Because Dominguez is probably enough to bring butts in seats, right? People want to see the kid, the new one, the new shiny object, the new toy. Now that he's up, I'm wondering if we can get Judge a little bit of rest, because I still think he's being hampered by that foot at the plate. He's striking out quite a bit. Doesn't look the same.
Two things. We'll talk about Aaron Judge in a second, but the Yankees are now only a game below 500 with that sweep of Houston. So you win the series against Detroit coming up at home. You just kick their butts in Detroit. You win the series. You're above 500. Little baby steps. Maybe you work it to 6.5 games out. Maybe they go on a little bit of a run and can sniff the playoffs. You ever think of that?
Of course, I look at the standings every day. I'm a sick person. I look at the standings and I see who lost, because if the Yankees win, I want to know who lost. I want to know what happened. Yes, of course, I'm still looking at that. Do I think it's probable? No, they have to leapfrog like 3 teams. So it's
3 teams.
It's one of those pieces that's very difficult to do. A lot of things have to happen, but is it possible? Yes, it's possible. This is why I said for them to do it 3 weeks before they did it. You infuse a little bit of new life. You infuse something different.
Right after the trade deadline.
If they had fired Boone at the same time, would have been even more of a shot in the arm. And now you just play. It's fine. You make him the manager. I don't give a shit. Just not the same guy. And then you all of a sudden have this shot in the arm that they're having right now, but you have it 3 weeks earlier when you're not dead and buried. God forbid we put, if you're going to do it at a time when you can actually make some make some progress.
Can you pull up the schedule? Because I'm I'm looking at the standings right now. They have 6 with Toronto remaining, right? And sort of back
6 or 7. One of them may be a 4-game set. I'm bringing it up right now.
So right now the Yankees are 8.5 out. The Red Sox are 3 games ahead of the Yankees. And
I can't believe you're doing this.
And then the Blue Jays are 7 ahead of the Yankees. So, and Houston is currently a game and a half ahead of Toronto. So here's the way here's the path to the playoffs for the Yankees.
It's
okay,
6.
You ready for this?
6 against Toronto, two home and home.
So you need to make up. You're 8.5 back. We know that. But what needs to happen is Houston needs to struggle a little bit. If the Yankees could possibly catch Houston, they do have the tiebreaker against them now because they just swept them. The Yankees do not have the tiebreaker against Boston. Boston has killed you all
and they
season.
will not.
So you're gonna you just have to cleanly beat Boston. But they're only 3 ahead of you right now. That's catchable in a month or
4-game set.
Than a month of baseball.
4-game set coming up in a week.
Okay. And Toronto, you're gonna have to sweep all of those games against Toronto and be 2 games better than them outside of those games.
Right.
So you're following me?
That's possible. I'm following you. I'm here. And let me just hold on before you keep going. There's a day off before the Toronto series, the first one, and a day off before the Toronto series, the second time. So rested arms, ready to go. Whose roster's better?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what needs to happen. The Red Sox need to be 4 games worse than you. The Blue Jays need to be 8 games worse than you. And the Astros need to be 9 games worse than you.
9 games worse than you.
Because then you would tie with the Astros and you have the tiebreaker.
And or Texas, because that could flip flop.
Texas as well. Texas is mathematically ahead of the Astros by a half a game because they have 1 less loss but 1 less win as well. But loss column matters more.
Right. So that's another one to contend with, though. So here's the good thing. You said 4 games better than Boston. Got a 4-game set coming up with the same Boston Red Sox.
Sweep them.
Sweep them. Done.
Easy.
Sweep them. Yeah. They have Detroit for 3 games, Milwaukee for 3 games in the homestand, and then you're going to Fenway. You're going up to Boston next Monday for that 4-game set, and then out to Pittsburgh, and then some days off in between the Toronto series, both Toronto series. But yeah, this homestand, Detroit and Milwaukee, important homestand for this year.
You gotta sweep it. The Yankees basically virtually have to win.
They can only lose like games. 3 more games, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
and if those 3 games, possible. I swear to God, if that happens in the last 3-game set at Kansas City,
right.
I will go. I don't know what I will do, but it will not be.
What
good.
will you do?
It's something bad.
In Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Never say never.
But yeah, there's an opportunity. It's things have happened before. The problem lies in the fact that there are 3/4 teams ahead of you.
We did that. I did that mockingly. They buried themselves way too big of a hole. They dug themselves way too big of a hole to climb out of this. Was it an exciting sweep over the Astros? Sure, because fuck the Astros. We all hate the Astros, but unfortunately, it doesn't really matter for the standings this season. Like the Yankees are not going to make the playoffs unless everything we just said has to happen.
Happens. Yeah.
So the chance of all of those things happening is very, very slim. One of those things, sure. If you had to catch one team, anything can happen. One team gets cold, one team gets hot. You can chase down a team. We've seen that happen 1,000 times in baseball history. Very rarely have you seen 4 teams get cold and 1 team gets super hot, and then that team makes the playoffs.
The other thing to watch if we're watching standings at this point is that Boston is 3 games ahead of us in the loss column for last place. So if we believe that last place, the battle for last, yeah, or the battle for second to last, if you will, depending on how you're looking at it, if you believe that is the line in the sand for changes
then
to happen,
we should be rooting for that for the Red Sox coming up.
So we can root for the Yankees to win, but if the Red Sox also win outside those 4 games, then the cellar is still the place that they can finish, and said changes can then happen. They can occur.
Oh yeah, I would much rather.
Also, new streak. It would create a new streak, right? Because there's a streak right now for Yankees seasons above 500. That would be something that would also be it's at risk if they again finish in last place.
Do you care about taking the Boone and the coaching changes out of it? Do you actually care at all about the not finishing in last and the always finishing 500 or better streak that the Yankees have going?
No, I don't care about the streaks. No, I don't. I mean, being in last place is a bad thing. It's a black mark. But to me, like, whether they finish in last or not, it doesn't matter. It's this. It should be the same thing. The season was a complete disappointment. They had the opportunity to finish in last. They very well could finish in last, and if they don't, then it's because of circumstance. They're a last place team right now. That needs to be understood. If they don't feel that, then that they're looking at the wrong thing. So whether they finish in last or don't finish in last, it actually doesn't matter. Whether they finish under 500 or just over 500, it actually doesn't matter. I don't care about the streaks. In fact, let's start a new streak. New streaks are fun, right? Looking back and saying, well, the Yankees haven't done that. Well, now the Yankees have. So how about we reset? Let's get rid of that narrative and start talking about something different.
Right. You're below 500 and in last place on Labor Day. I mean, that season's a complete disaster. Like, it doesn't matter what happens the last 4 weeks of the season. And hopefully Hal realizes that and is not blinded by a hot finish to the season with young infused talent, like actually playing well. Like, that's great. And if that happens, cool. But that should not change the decisions that he is going to have to be making as an owner and a leader of this organization. Because
but when you're talking about in the future and when you're looking back, history will reflect on a last place finish differently than a second to last place finish.
It will, but when you're evaluating your performance
in real time,
there's no difference whether you finish a game over 500, a game below 500, fourth place or fifth place. There's no difference to any of that.
100%. You're spot on. That's accurate. That's the common sense department speaking. So let's hopefully that's a mandate and a memo that gets sent around Yankee Stadium.
All right. I do want to talk about one more thing on Austin Wells, but before that, tell you guys about Game Time, our preferred ticket app, because it is the easiest way to buy tickets to whatever you want to go to. Sporting events, concerts, comedy, theater, and much, much more. The app has a ton of cool features and is very easy to use. It shows you the trending tickets, what sections the best deals are in, calls out cheap options and flash deals, and much more so you can make an informed purchase. There's also event cancellation protection, so you can buy with confidence if there's going to be some bad weather or something like that. I love using it because you get images of your seats before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect. The buying process is super fast, a couple of taps, and you are done. The tickets go then directly to your phone, so you don't have to go through your emails to find them. Snag tickets today without stress using Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, download the app, create an account, and use code BRONX, BRONX, just in case you had to have that spelled for you, and you get $20 off your first purchase. As I continue to die from this 12-day long cold, there was a cool clip I saw on Yes of Michael King talking about Austin Wells after the game yesterday, praising him for his communication and game calling. Said that Wells made it a point to talk to King, in preparation for the game, how he likes to. No, but like
some would say that was pretty standard.
But King, just watch the clip because it's cool. King talked about the questions he was asking, like the little things Wells wanted to know to make it so King was more comfortable and like took feedback very well. Like he specifically called out how he likes to throw front door sinkers or front hip sinkers. A lot of catchers will set up just like, on the inside corner of the plate. Like this is where the target. King said, I like it if the catcher sets up inside of that corner because I would rather miss in. I would rather hit the bladder than leave it in the middle of the plate and leak my sinker out because that's probably going to be an extra base hit. So it's just those little things that he said Wells picked up right away. So like, is that bullshit? Not bullshit. Is that stupid? Is silly? I don't know. I mean, we're trying to find little things here.
This is what it is. I'm making a joke. These are the things that make you feel good. They're like the little things, the nuances of baseball, and you want to hear that your young guy is is going that extra mile, looking for the little things, understanding the details, understanding that each pitcher has different tendencies, has different things that they like. And yes, it's 100%. The relationship between the pitcher, the battery relationship is probably the most important relationship on the field every single day. If those guys aren't in sync on the same page, then there's a problem with the game off the bat. So yes, those things are important. And Michael King, with the amount of movement that he has on some of those pitches, it is important to understand. Do you want me to line up where the pitch is going to be? Do you want me to line up where you're throwing the pitch so that you can start it at the glove, understanding that it's gonna run inside? Those are little things that they need to understand. And so yes, the details, those minute details are like, I love that stuff in baseball. That's as inside baseball as you can get. And I think that stuff is important. So he's asking the right questions and he's building the right rapport. And Michael King looked good again. I thought Michael King looked good again. And, you know, the audition for him starting next year continues and it's going well, I think.
Yeah. He said he loves, also in that clip, it was like a 5-minute clip on the Yes Twitter. He said he loves strategizing in the off days before the game, like in between starts. So, I mean, obviously as a young pitcher, you want to be a starter because that's how you're going to make money, right? Like, sure. How many times have we seen these relievers get burnt out throughout arbitration and then maybe sign like a decent contract? But like, let's be real.
You're either a starter or a closer. That's where you want to be.
Right.
Those are the two places.
Swingmen, versatile 7th inning or spot starter openers do not get paid.
No, and the hold stat doesn't get paid either.
Unless you're the Yankees in the late 2010s with Zach Britton. Because he got closer money to pitch the 8th inning.
That's true, but he had done it before. So yes, the hold stat will pay more if you've done the closing before.
So we were talking about Aaron Judge, and we pulled some numbers on him in the month of August. I know we're a couple days into September, but in the month of August, he only hit 196 in 117 plate appearances and struck out 35 times. There was a couple games that he just looked terrible. He struck out 3 times in 3 separate games, and then he had a 4 strikeout game as well. So if you sort of chunk the numbers between, I think it was August 15th and now, the strikeout rate is much, much higher. You're saying, because there was also an article, and Boone was quoted, the article was in the Post, that said, Boone was asked about his base running, Judge's, and said significant improvement with the toe. And that's true. Like, if you look at his base running this weekend versus his base running at the end of July when he came back, it is a significant improvement. Is that pain has diminished? Is that Judge has learned how to manage it better? Is that Judge getting just more confident with it and saying, okay, I'm not going to injure this thing more, so I'm just going to be able to let it fly a little bit more with confidence? Like, I don't know. The running does look better, but you're still, the at bats, while he is hitting home runs, he is still striking out a lot. So maybe there's just some inconsistencies in different parts of his game. Or maybe he's just in a bad stretch right now with strikeouts. Who the hell knows?
It could be a bad stretch of strikeouts. There's no doubt it could be. But what we've seen with him is that he's certainly cleaned that up quite a bit. And as we saw with LeMahieu, it took him half of a season after going through a complete offseason, after being riddled with the toe injury at the end of last year as well. Like, it took him a while to figure out how to effectively be himself and hit with that thing, because I do think it's different. That's the piece. Whether it hurts or not, whether it's sore, whether it affects the flexibility in the way that you're turning that foot, I don't know, but I do know this: running in a straight line is different than hitting. It's a different mechanic on the foot. It's a different turn. There's different load on it. There's a lot of things that are different. So, while straight line speed might be more comfortable for him, I do think that there's something that's hindering him at the plate, and you got to look at the toe. So it's going to take him a little bit. And yes, mechanics could be off because of that, right? Like, mechanics absolutely could be off. It could feel different. He just doesn't have the same timing because of it. There's a lot of things that can happen that I believe that, just some rest and relaxation for that guy, get off the feet. He's also just a big dude, man. And like, you got to believe, and I've said this so many times in the past when we're talking about these Stanton and Judge, like, they're just bigger people. So the weight on their extremities is just more. It's harder to also come back from mechanical changes because there's such a long area where their arms are longer, their legs are longer. It's just, there's more room for error with mechanics with guys like that. A guy like Jasson Dominguez, who's compact, who has such a, it's a violent looking swing. It looks different. And he doesn't have as much room for error. It's like he's like a Mighty Mouse compared to a guy who's got to deal with a lot more body. It's just more body to deal with and get back to the same place every single time. Repeat those mechanics. I gotta believe it's just harder to do that as a bigger bodied person than someone who's more compact. So I think that's part of it. But he's still productive and he's still in the zone. That's the beauty of it. Like the other day when Yankee Stadium, he hit a ball that was, had traveled on him, almost behind the plate, and everywhere else, anybody else, it would have been a foul ball to the right side or probably right bad contact. Yeah. And he hit it down the line, home run. That's the difference between him. He's still able to do that. And even when he's not right completely and he's still, making some of those mechanical mistakes, if he's long through the zone like that, he's got the raw power and the ability to keep things fair. So that's the big thing with his swing change. But yeah, I think he's mechanically off a little bit. And I think that the foot is probably having to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Fastest ever career-wise to 250 home runs for Aaron Judge. Did it in like 800 something games. To your point about will they shut him down? I don't think they're going to shut him down this season.
It doesn't seem like it, unless it gets worse.
Yeah, but like, I agree if it gets worse, but it doesn't seem like it's getting worse, and it just seems like he's going to play out the string with his DH days and off days mixed in, right? Like that just seems like it's gonna, I don't know why,
because I promise you that he doesn't want to be shut down, because it's also, and I get that and I appreciate that. Especially now with all these young guys here, he wants to be there, he wants to be playing, he wants to be in the mix. He's a leader. That Dominguez is talking about Judge as being the big brother. Like that's him now. He's the captain of this team. So being out there every day, even if you're battling through an injury, it matters. It does. And I understand that. I do. From Aaron Judge's perspective, if I were him, I wouldn't want to come out of the game either. I'd want to keep playing. Even if I'm, 80%, I would 100% be pissed off if I got pulled out. That said, if they are eliminated for the longevity, you can't convince me that there's not a higher probability of him being injured with the current status of his foot, over him just being completely healthy. Like there's got to be a higher percentage of him re-injuring that thing as he's running or
of course,
injuring something else because of that.
Then you're just saying sitting there and yeah, of course. Yeah. Assuming they're mathematically eliminated by the last week of the season against Kansas City, he probably won't play those games. Otherwise, I think he's going to play.
Because they're on the road.
Right.
That's
three games in KC. He's probably not going to play because they're not going to be fighting for a playoff spot at that point. But up until then, they still have home games and stuff like that. They're playing the Blue Jays a bunch. Like Judge is probably going to want to play just to make sure the Blue Jays don't make the playoffs and little shit like that.
So looking at the schedule, the 24th against Arizona is their last home game. They finished the season on the road. 25th is an off day. Then they have three against Toronto, 3 against Kansas City, all on the road. So if they're,
I think he'll play in Toronto.
If they're mathematically eliminated after that homestand, zero reason for him to play in Toronto.
I agree, zero reason, but I think maybe he won't play the outfield, but I bet he DHs a day or two.
Is Toronto turf?
Oh yeah, is Toronto
turf? Of course,
yeah,
it's turf.
Turf.
So let's not play there. Kansas City's not turf. Kansas City is grass. Beautiful grass.
What if Toronto is still fighting for a playoff spot?
It doesn't matter. That's ego. Who gives a shit? Protect your player. Okay. The season doesn't matter.
I'm aware.
Especially at that point, I'm saying if you're mathematically eliminated and you're in the last week and you're on the road now, you're no longer at home. You don't have the commitment to the home fans, and you're trying to get butts in seats. Like if Toronto doesn't sell out because Aaron Judge isn't there, who gives a shit?
No,
really,
that's not,
who gives a shit?
That's not going to impact.
I know, but I'm saying like if the Toronto fans aren't able to see Aaron Judge because he is sitting due to him playing on turf and the foot, and they're mathematically eliminated, who's going to have a problem with that? Besides maybe Aaron Judge.
The last thing to mention before we wrap up, Luis Severino, after a couple good outings against some bad teams, did not look good against Houston. Threw over 100 pitches in 4 innings, did not get a single swing and miss. 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs allowed. Yes,
the amount of
Yankees
foul
won the game
balls. I don't know if you have that number. The number of foul balls.
Well, he didn't get any swings and misses in over 100 pitches. I don't have the foul ball numbers, but yeah, this is
it was a lot. It was a lot of foul balls. I saw the number and it was like, whoa! I can't believe how many foul balls there were. And yeah, he couldn't get. There were a couple. There was an at bat to Abreu, I think specifically, that was just like he was just fouling everything off. He couldn't get anything past him. So he definitely had a look different.
Yeah, and so once the offseason rolls around, we're going to dive into decisions like re-signing Severino and some other players and just some top free agent targets. Not necessarily a GM episode, but more of just like a healthy debate between you and I, which I'm sure will not involve any yelling.
No yelling involved at all.
Just calm, rational discussions.
Yeah. Just common sense. Just a couple guys talking common sense.
All righty. That's going to wrap it up. Hope you guys...
Like sitting your injured superstar on the road and we were mathematically eliminated for the last week of the season. You know.
To be clear, I am not saying they should play him. I am just telling you what I think they will do because they are not common sense driven. That's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you all are enjoying your long holiday weekend, and we'll be back at you later this week.